welcome to the Cop Shop with FPD. I'm your host, Chief Steve Hebbe. With me as always, P.I.O. Shanice Gonzales. How are you, Shanice?
I'm good, Chief. How are you?
Good. We got a good show today, something a little different. We're bringing in one of our more talkative and dynamic personalities, Lieutenant Luther Mosley. How are you, Lieutenant?
Good, Chief. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, and I know this is kind of fulfilling a dream of yours to appear on the radio show, and so thanks for being here.
You absolutely made my day, sir.
So the excitement bubbles over, but nonetheless, Luther is got an exciting program that we're working in conjunction with CYFD, with the school district, with the courts, as it relates to juveniles, and our efforts to A, engage with them, and B, make a difference as it relates to juvenile crime, which has been a hot topic across New Mexico, is a topic of concern here in Farmington as well, and Luther has kind of been our point man on that, and we're actually doing a variety of different things, but one of the things is Luther's kind of flagship program. So we will talk with you about that. We're just coming off the 4th of July parade though, and how did you think we did on that?
I think you guys did great.
Very
Unfortunately,
good.
I did not make it this year.
That's right. You did not make it this year, but you saw it online.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, we had our Bearcat out. I did not think there was as many floats as usual, so that was probably a little surprising on the 250th. But I always love parade down Main Street in Midtown America on the 4th of July. I mean that is what we should be doing. I always love to attend that parade, and there were still thousands of people out there, lots of kids. Like to see it. It's always a good time, and it was hot during the day, but it really wasn't that bad once the parade.
Nicely,
once the parade kicked off. So you were there in sport coat, as I recall.
I was,
and
for a little bit, until it got really hot.
Really hot. Yeah. So don't say Scott doesn't do a dangerous job, because wearing a sport coat in about 90-degree heat is a dangerous thing.
Well, next to a guy in a black uniform, I hear you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Touche.
Yeah.
Some things I can control. So Luther, why don't you talk a little bit about how you hit on the idea of engaging with kids, and what are some of the things that the FPD is doing under your direction?
So we did initiate the Youth Initiative Team. That's what we're temporarily calling it. We don't really have a good name for it right now, but we started that about a year ago. The purpose of that was to improve police-youth interactions and relationships throughout our community. Some of the entities that you hit on that we partnered with is Farmington Municipal Schools, Boys and Girls Club, CYFD, the courts, JPO. And essentially what we do is we try to attend any type of events they have. We'll show up with a group of officers, not only officers, but we have some civilian staff within the department that volunteer for it as well. And that's important to know, is the officers do this as a extra duty, a volunteer-like duty. They carve time out of their own time to make sure they can make these events. But we basically show up to some of the events they already have, and just be there and try to improve on some of these interactions. A lot of the time, the children we come in contact with during our daily duties, it's during a moment of crisis, and so they don't always see us in the best light. Maybe we're arresting a parent or being assertive on scene and, barking orders at people, and that leaves an impact on some of these children. So what we're trying to do on the back end is get involved in more positive settings and environments, and create this sort of more friendly interaction type of setting. So one of the prevalent things we recently did is with JPO, we did a summer adventure camp. And what that entailed is they had about 12 of these teenagers out there, and at the camp we went to the ropes course provided by San Juan College. So that's another partnership there as far as helping us out and letting us use that facility. And they get out there and they do some team building things and just have a good time with us and JPO and the police and the courts and whatnot, whoever show up there.
And JPO is the Juvenile Probation Office.
Oh, yes, sir. I apologize, but yes, sir.
So these are kids that have gotten into trouble with the law, and they're now in the custody of the Juvenile Probation Office. And so Luther's established a relationship with JPO that then has brought some of those kids out.
Yeah, and so this last adventure camp was mostly that group of individuals, those kids. we did the ropes course, a lot of fun activities there, team building. It's always funny because when we started the event, the kids kind of show up with a different vibe. They're not sure what the day is going to look like. They're a little more reserved, standoffish. But as you go, you start to see the smiles and the enjoyment and things like that. And once that day is completed, we followed up with a day at the lake, which involved another partnership. Was Game and Fish came out and provided us with fishing licenses and fishing gear. We had our canoes out there, and the kids were able to do some fishing. They weren't supposed to be swimming, but when you're on canoes trying to paddle around the lake, you end up swimming a little bit, and just smiles and good interactions.
Good. So this seems to be something that you're pretty passionate about. How did that come about? Why is this kind of a topic that seems to motivate you?
So with me, this goes back into a lot of my personal backstory, and I won't get into everything, but I didn't always have the best upbringing. I came up from a dynamic home, a lot of stuff going on in the home. CYFD was involved with me as a child, different things like that. And I speak to this more in more intimate settings with CYFD. I kind of explain my story a little bit. And my interactions with the police weren't always the best. They were showing up to arrest the parents or take enforcement action. So with that kind of backstory, it was one of these things that when I was looking at our department, we do things. We have school resource officers. We're involved with the campus security, things like that. But I felt like there was just a void for more of that positive interaction. And I'm sure you spoke about it on the show in the past, but with manpower issues and policing throughout the nation, stuff like that, I just put out the request to the officers and the civilian staff of we can do more. And I was looking for volunteers that kind of believed in that type of thing that I believed in. And I can't tell you how big the team is, but I want to say we have about 20 that are involved in various events, and it all stems from just trying to be more involved with these kids and have a better police youth interaction.
Good. You also took point, and it wasn't really you that started it, but you took point on our parent project that we kicked off during the spring semester that we're hoping to restart here in the fall, which is designed again to help families that have kids and maybe are lacking some of the skills to either manage a difficult kid or just are having a rough time being a parent, and we're trying to give them the stones towards improvement. How did you feel that project went?
So I'm a big advocate of the parent project. Again, it wasn't my brainchild or anything. Initially, when we were engaging in the youth initiative team, we were looking for some sort of program for the community, and thankfully for me, Krista from the courts came along, and she had this idea, and she really did all the backbone and the effort and everything like that, so huge shout out to her. But where we came into play is she needed a group of officers to teach the class, and so that's where we help her out. So I have about 6 officers and sergeants that teach that class, and like you mentioned, it's just about, these children or these environments might have some upbringing issues or some disciplinary issues, or they might, have questions on how do I deal with, my kid on the cell phone all the time, or how do I deal with vaping, or how do I deal with that? And that's really
media.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's what this parent project does, is it gives them a place to come, sit down, and have a research-based type of project to teach them or provide them some guidance on how to deal with some of these children.
So we kicked that off in the spring with the sheriff's office and the courts. Krista Lawrence is a bigwig over at the administration of courts, and it didn't go as well as we wanted initially. We did not have grand participation. It's a lengthy course. It's about 10 weeks.
Yes, sir.
10 weeks, so one night a week for 10 weeks. So there's got to be some commitment from the families to do it. I don't think that we were in love with the initial kickoff. We didn't have that great a participation, certainly nothing close to what we were hoping for. We're going to gear up and try again in the fall. It's something that I'm hopeful will make a difference. I sit on young adult court, which is designed to help kids who have alcohol, drug, and life problems. And they've obviously now got into trouble, and they've got criminal convictions, some of them reasonably serious criminal convictions. And the young adult court attempts to get them a case manager, help them get their education, finish that, help them get through the drugs with counseling, and find a job, and then a place to live, and move on from where they were. And so part of what I liked about the Parent Project was it was an effort to even go before that. And before kids get into that kind of trouble, let's work with the families that we can identify through school, through CYFD, through some other means, family units that are having problems, and see if we can get them into the Parent Project, give them skills to do a better job. If we can improve them there, maybe we don't see them in young adult court, maybe we don't see them in prison down the road. So we're still hopeful on that, but it was not as great as we were hoping for.
Yeah, it didn't start out as strong as we wanted, but I'm optimistic though. With time, the more this is out there, the more people hear about it. With CYFD jumping on board with that partnership, they're giving a tremendous amount of referrals. The schools obviously are on board, and we're looking to expand that beyond just Farmington, more into the county as well, because as we know, families or crime or whatever the topic is, it doesn't know borders, right? It spills over regardless. So we're trying to, widen that. And even my patrol officers this next school year are going to be on their day-to-day routine if they come in contact with a family that could benefit from that, going through the referral process.
So you have been a lieutenant now, are you at a year?
A year and a half, I believe.
Year and a half? Okay. Still fairly new, but you've been with the department for 12 years, 11 years maybe?
Yeah, I'm not too sure.
When you came up?
Yeah.
It was not too long after I got here, I know. And you came from the Donna Ana County Sheriff's Office.
Yes, sir.
And that's more where you're from. How have you found the transition to northern New Mexico? And how do you like being a lieutenant?
Well, that's a two-part question. Number one, I do enjoy working for you in this department, this organization. I do enjoy the position as a lieutenant. A lot of what I'm able to do is, take these visions and put some strategy behind it. We're talking about this youth initiative team. It's a vision of yours long-term to get involved with the youth, reduce some crime. Juvenile crime, obviously, in the state had been a hot topic lately. And so with that vision in mind, something that I enjoy doing as a lieutenant is kind of taking that and working some strategies in to try to accomplish that long-term goal. This youth initiative team and this parent project type stuff, that's one small element of what I'm able to do. So I do enjoy that. I like the ability to be able to work through those things. I love San Juan County, the city of Farmington, this area. I am from Donna Ana County, which is the Las Cruces area, pretty much born and raised there. And, moving from there to here, the outdoor activities here is just great. I always tell my friends about the things I'm able to do here, whether it's go to Navajo Lake or even something as simple as Farmington Lake, as compared to Las Cruces. If you're an outdoor person, it's a little more difficult to just get up and go enjoy the outdoors, take a hike or go fishing or, stuff to that effect. So,
well, I'm not from the area originally either, and I've enjoyed Farmington through the years. I like the location close to Colorado. You can be in such a wildly different area. So all of a sudden you're up in the mountains, or you're in Durango, or you're here. And then the location, honestly, as far as you can juke up to Denver, you can juke down to the Grand Canyon or Phoenix, all pretty reasonable. So the location of it is just a very nice place. But I like the community as well.
Yeah, I think everything is 3 to 6 hours from where we're at, so that's very convenient.
So one thing that is not 3 to 6 hours away is Washington, D.C., which is where you are heading here at the end of September. And we just had Captain Goodsell on last week, kind of talking about his experience. What are you hoping to get out of your trip out to the National Academy?
So what I'm hoping for the National Academy is just to continue to develop as a leader and a manager. That's pretty much the main thing that this would provide. I'm grateful for the opportunity, extremely grateful for that. I know it's extremely rare that somebody's able to go to this. And so for me, coming from where I come from, growing how I grew up, to be able to have this opportunity in front of me, I'm extremely grateful extremely grateful for it. I just really want to continue to develop as a leader and a manager and see what they have to offer. The networking is obviously fantastic. There will be about 300 other executive level police officers there that we'll be able to communicate and pick ideas off of each other. So I'm excited for that. The process to prepare for that is pretty lengthy. I had to do a background check, fingerprints, an interview, fitness standards, a bunch of various things like that. So it's a little more back-end demanding than I had anticipated. On the flip side, when you had sent me to Northwestern University for Staff and Command, a lot simpler. Similar training to some extent, but a lot simpler. No background checks or PT standards, things like that. So I'm very excited for it. Yeah.
It's a rare opportunity. I think each state may get 2, or at least New Mexico gets 2 throughout the state. Occasionally a different state has some opening and maybe we get an extra body. In this case, we weren't even slated. Luther was on a wait list, but we weren't slotted to be able to send anyone. Somebody else had to cancel out kind of last minute, so Luther stepped up, which is no small thing. You got family to consider, and you're gone for 10 weeks out there, no break. You're just out there. So pretty short notice, but you scrambled around. And you think you can make it work, and I agree. It's a rare experience, and not many get to do it. So I'm glad you're getting a chance to go.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Like I said, I can't describe the excitement, but I could tell you when I mention it to my wife, maybe not immediately as excited with the 10-week time frame and whatnot, but it's just like anything else. Any relationship, it's give and take and sacrifices, and all of us as individuals are working toward bigger, better things in life. And this is one of those exciting things that I get to undertake, so I am excited for that. Yeah.
So Luther came from down south, wasn't from Farmington, wasn't part of our agency when I first got here, but arrived here. He's done quite a bit. I was a K-9 officer for a while, has been internal affairs, has bounced around as a sergeant a little bit, and now as a commander. And as we've talked through the last several years, successor planning is very important at FPD. People do retire, they move on. You've seen it with some of the different faces we've had on the show through the years. Luther's part of the new wave that'll be coming up behind there, and we're going to do our best to get him, A, prepared internally, but then B, all the schooling and education necessary for him to be successful when he gets his shot to be at the top. So, Luther, have a great time out there. Thanks for being on the show. Shanice, we're going to have a complete interview with just you next time. We need to hear more.
I'm ready for it, Chief.
All right, there you go. Until such time, we'll see you next time here on the Cop Shop with FPD. Thank you.